to a Live Unreal event before. I'm sure you've seen the Live Unreal formula. I am still going to review it quickly. Before I get into it, they opened up with, obviously, we are entering a shifting market. We all know that. But one cool reminder, he said in 2006, there were 1.5 million agents, an NAR stat, in the United States, and they sold 7 million homes. Fast forward to after, our market shifted in 2012, there were only 900,000 agents. That's a 45% decline, and then still 4.6 million in sales. So their whole point was, yes, like it's going to be weird and it's going to be hard and we're going to have to adjust and be adaptable this next year. But when you can get through, like once we muscle through the shift, there's going to be a lot more to go around because all the part-timers or, there's a lot of people licensed who do it even as a hobby, and that takes market share away from us. So hang through the shift and there will be more available to go around. So a lot of this week we talked about schedule a lot. We talked about habits. They talked about mindset and resilience a lot more than I've actually ever seen at a Glover event, which was great. So talking about strong daily habits, Justin Ford did the Live Unreal formula speech. And he said, success is the product of daily habits, not once in a lifetime transformations. And something that I thought when he was talking about that is there are a lot of things in real estate that can be luck, or you have a random good year, or maybe you even have this once in a lifetime breakthrough. The breakthrough is great and it can get us through a wall, but it kind of stops there. You have to keep continuing those habits in order to reach success. But he said, if we get 1% better each day for a year, we will end up 30% better than where we started per year. And that was huge to me, you guys, because even as I was there, I'm taking all these notes and all these things I want to do. And where do I even begin when I get back? And if I look at it and what's my end goal for the year, rewind to just this week. What's one thing I can do to help a little bit reach that goal? And that's what I can focus on this week. I liked that, hearing the 1% better. He said habits are the compound interest of self-improvement, making a little difference on any given day, but the results can be profound. And he talked about the results are profound. However, we don't see them super quickly. We will make a few changes. Results don't come as quick as we think they're going to. So we quickly slip back into our old habits because we don't appreciate the slow transformation process. You guys, change is slow. It's time on task over time beats, what's Gary Keller say? Time on task beats talent all the time, because if you continue those habits, it will happen. So just really think, analyze yourself, and what do you do on a daily? Do we have a schedule? What are you doing each day on a daily basis? And are your habits setting you up for success? He said time magnifies the difference between success and failure. So of any of you who are on the call, have you guys done the Live Unreal formula before? Anybody familiar?
Not familiar. I don't think.
I'm gonna say maybe, but I don't know.
Well,
Right.
good. I'm glad. Okay. So if you are taking, excuse me, if you're taking notes, I would have a clean sheet of paper, draw out these 5 boxes. And just to let you know, we're going to be starting here on the bottom. This first box, I want you guys to write income. After you write income, whether it's off to the side here or in your box, I want you to write what you want your income goal to be for 2023. something, I have a little side note here while you guys are writing that. He said, this was one of those profound statements I circled and highlighted. Justin Ford said, money only motivates you until you have it. So it's funny, like, we're going to set this live unreal formula, but this can constantly be changing. There may be years we have it, years it's tighter, years there's different things that are going to be important to us. So yeah, money only motivates you until you have it. And you can change your why. Like, this will always be moving. In this second box, we are going to say transactions. Next to it, go ahead and write how many transactions you want to close this year in order to meet that income goal. Now, if you are newer on the call and you might have no clue how many transactions you need to do. Danny, I know you've came in after we've done business planning, so this is something I can help you with even at a later date, but just go ahead and guess. Or if you have a transaction goal you want to be, go ahead and write that down. Moving on to the third box. This is where it starts to, you want to start to take some thought. I wrote down option/why. And out of curiosity, I mean, you guys could even say in the chat, while sharing my screen, I don't know if I can monitor the chat, but feel free to unmute yourself, guys, too, at any time. If you have any questions, like, this is very candid, open conversation.
So
yes,
what was in the first three boxes again? I just ran to go get paper because I had none.
Oh, no problem. So first box, we have income, and that is what your income goal is for 2023.
And that's at the bottom, Danny. We're starting from the
Yeah.
bottom on up.
Thank you, Janice.
Yeah, thank you. I definitely did not know that.
Yeah. I know it's natural to start up here, right? Yeah, if you want, you can do a little arrow in between each box. Box number 2 down here is transactions. And that would be, Danny, you might not know yet since you came in after we've done business planning clinics for this year. We have a little formula for if you want to make X amount in 2023, this is how many transactions you have to close in order to get there. If you don't know what that looks like, you can just say what your transaction goal is. From there, in this third box, the middle one, we're going to write options/why. Again, like I said earlier, he said, you can always change your why, but knowing why you're doing what you're doing, you guys, you have to have this solid to be able to do these two on the daily basis. And I will admit quicker than anybody that sometimes when you're asked, what's your why? It is such a big, big question that sometimes I get writer's block. And, if you could even just make a list, I think they even had a great question here. If I'm unsure about my why or my purpose, what could I accomplish this year that would get me closer to finding out what my purpose is? And, not that everyone's has to go this way, but for example, when John Maxwell was out and he was amazing, it just kept coming back over and over and over again. Specifically, his purpose and true leadership is pour into others to grow yourself, and growing other people is going to grow yourself. Your why can be 100% about you. It could be about how you serve others, but just think about, like, what makes your heart happy. And yeah. And if you don't know what your why is, give yourself a question, an idea, maybe time block a time that you can spend some time with yourself and start to figure out what that is. You know, it's not too late to make a vision board as well. Justin said that one of the first vision boards he made when he was on Jeff's team had, and you guys, his story is incredible. He, you know, was arrested. He was selling drugs. He has just been through a crazy, crazy life. He wrote a book called Unleashed. I did mean to buy it when I was there, but at any rate, he owed $200,000 to the IRS. It just was like one thing after another that a lot of people would give up. And when he was finally on Jeff's team, he created a vision board. And, you know, in one corner, he had the car he wanted. In another, it was the house he wanted to buy for his family. $200,000, that was the money he owed to the IRS. And he said, you know, it didn't all come right that year, but I kept that up there, maybe modified it as years went on. And he said, I am happy to tell you, I have gotten every single thing on that vision board. So if you guys haven't made one, my coach, she even has like a digital format that I'm working on mine that way right now. So I can have it digitally, and then I'll have it as the screensaver on my phone, like have it somewhere. Don't make it and never look at it again, because it kind of defeats the purpose. So have one that you are looking at all the time. A couple years ago, I had made one and I said some very random things on it. Like, I want to be asked to be on a panel this year, or I want to do this or that. And it's so funny because I ended up like those random things I wrote down ended up happening. So I would challenge you guys with why, you know, do a vision board and some other self-talk questions. Assuming I hit my income goal, what does it provide? Like, what does that income goal provide you? What's that going to do for you in your life? Who does it benefit? And how does it benefit others? So you reaching that income goal, is that solely for you? You reaching that income goal, can it help put your kid in XYZ or help pay for college? You know, who's that money helping and how is it benefiting others? Moving on to the fourth one, best version of self. So guys, this one is, and I would encourage you, like, I really want you to take the time to sit and do these after the call, but this is, who do you want to be? Picture yourself, like, I would seriously close your eyes, picture yourself in 5 years. What does life look like? What's your family look like? I mean, what does it feel like when you're driving? What are you driving? You know, what are you doing in real estate? Maybe you're in leadership. Maybe you have your own team. What are you doing and what does it feel like? And then what we need to do is start living your life like that now. Who do I need to become? What behaviors do I need to have? What habits do I need to form? And what relationships do I need to form? Relationships was huge too. They talked so much about being the sum of the 5 people, you know, you spend the most time with, or 5 people you surround yourself in the workplace with, or, you know, we always want to be around people that are going to keep growing our lid. And he said, for example, if any of you have a team that are on the call or watching the video, this was John Maxwell. He said, the law of the lid is, say your leadership is at a 5, you know, say here to here is 0 to 10. 0's down here, 10's up here. Your leadership is at a level 5. Your team, your organization, your whatever you have, it's not going to get higher than a 4 because you're at a 5. We always want to keep growing ourselves. Who's going to help grow that lid? Because once you grow, then you have room for other people to grow. Yeah, there's a lot of self-reflection questions there. And then the last one, what does my unreal life look like? And they define your unreal life as a life so amazing, it's almost unbelievable. So you can do that, you guys, if you take the time to do this later on. I would do your unreal life in 5 years. I would do it in 1 year, in 5 years, and in 10 years. It's easiest if you start with that 10-year goal and work backwards personally, but I really challenge you guys to do that. Any questions before I move on?
I just had a quick comment. Like I
Yes.
said this yesterday. So the pre-coaching calls from Hudson Warren.
Yes.
So like one thing, I wrote it on our board in our office, and I just absolutely loved it, because like so much of what he talks about is like not just your business, but your personal life and just making everything better. And he said that you are worth the effort to become the person you desire to be. I was like I
That's
loved that so much. I'm
awesome.
like, that's like my mantra for the year. I
That
think.
is so good. Danielle, will you repeat that? I actually want to write it down myself.
Yes, that's what I did. I was like, I had to rewind and watch it twice. So you are worth the effort to become the person you desire to be.
Come
You are worth the effort to become the person you desire to be.
Sorry, I keep adding all these John Maxwell quotes, but something
I love quotes
that.
all day.
something he said that goes along with this is, you know, a young man came up to him at a conference and he was like, John, like, I want to be you so bad. And he's like, you do? Okay, that's great. And, gosh, I don't want to butcher the quote. I want to be you. And John said, that's great, but are you willing to do what I did to get here? We look at our mentors, our role models. I mean, I'm sure so many people at this convention were like, oh my gosh, this is so cool that Jeff Glover created this. I want to be a coach and I'm going to start a coaching company and I want to do XYZ. And you don't see the 10 years it's taken him to get here. And even just the 5 years that they've gone, like, had these summits. There is so much, and we'll actually break down a schedule here in a moment. But there is so much activity it takes to get there. And Danielle, like, that just goes with that quote, you are worth the effort to become the person you desire to be. It's effort, you know, and these people we look up to, what have they done over 5 years, 10 years, 20 years to get where they are? And we need to copy those habits.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know anything about Jeff Glover, you know, he is like the king of 21 ways or 17 items or these things to do. I didn't want to give you guys, I have 1,000 lists, but one of these, oh, that's mindset. That was a good one, but we'll talk about that later. Skills for a shifting market. And rather than itemizing each one, I kind of wanted to highlight some of the ones that I think are really important to focus on right now. He has 21. If you want all 21 of them, give your email in the chat and I'll email it over to you. But number one, or one of the items, is managing your time. And that kind of goes along with the business planning and weekly mapping. You guys, this was one of my biggest wake up calls. Like, I don't know who all is using a calendar. I mean, of course, we all put our appointments in our calendar. And here's what I fall victim of. I will put my non-negotiable, I'm meeting an agent at this time, in my calendar. But I'm not time blocking. This is when my lead gen time is. This is when I'm reaching out to so-and-so. This is when I'm going to update my social media. This is, you know, I think we said it actually on this last, Brent's on this call, I think, either Brent or Danielle said, your calendar needs to match your goals. And they said that again here. We need to take the time to plan out your well, obviously your business plan and weekly mapping, your calendar, these two things need to be aligned. Again, prospecting and lead gen scheduled in your calendar. And I've got some fun little things to say about that. Listing appointment and buyer consult focused. Anybody who's on, would you like to guess why he said for this to be a focus?
I mean, isn't that obvious? I don't know. I mean, what you focus on expands, right? And then we have to go after getting the appointment, because if we're not getting it, someone else is.
For sure. He also said, so this is something that I've heard this before, I guess, but I think it hit in a different way. The two activities you do in your real estate career that have the biggest ROI, your return on your investment, is a listing appointment and a buyer consult. So if those are going to have our biggest ROI, and that is going to be, this listing appointment might be a $10,000 check in 2 months. If this is our biggest return on investment, planning that lead gen around how am I getting a buyer consult? How am I getting a listing appointment? And also, fun fact, I don't think I have a note on this later in the video, but we've always talked about, not we, just everyone in real estate, is if you're taking online leads, or even if it's somebody the goal is to always get a buyer consult scheduled first and then the appointment. And you guys, he actually still said buyer consult, like on the sales side, is the number one activity you can do, but it doesn't have to be the first activity. And maybe that even looks like you schedule the appointment because they just went in the house, and we know how quickly things are moving, even in this market. Maybe it is, hey, do you have 15 minutes after our showing that I can review, this area, or, you can go down and do your buyer consultation from there, but it doesn't have to be the first thing. Because if you say, well, before I meet you there, I have to meet you at Starbucks and we have to do a buyer consultation, they're just going to call somebody else who will open the door for them. So asking it that way. And he also said, if you are going to meet them for a buyer consultation, you can even say, would it make sense if I popped by your house? And then while you're there, while I'm there, I could walk around, maybe give you some recommendations of some things to do before we get your home sold. And everyone's going to say, yes, that would be awesome. Because even for a listing appointment, sellers kind of start to feel like, once I have you come over, like this process is starting, it's scary. Well, meeting them at their house for a buyer consultation, it just gives it so much more of a casual vibe. So I liked that. Short and long form video. We're going to be talking about that a lot more. Danielle was saying how, yes, our database is important. In 5 years, like, our database is going to be probably our social media platform. Like, it is that. And as newer agents keep coming in, and younger agents, you guys, they are the generation of YouTube and things that we don't necessarily feel comfortable with. Or I look at my own kids. I used to watch TV shows and they watch YouTube, or they watch a show on YouTube. It's a completely different culture, and you will get left behind if you're not doing video. So we'll talk about that more in a little bit. Money management and profitability. I would challenge all of you guys, if you have not already, look at what you spent last year. And I would not plan your budget for 2023 around what you did last year. Just being realistic, the market's different. We talk a lot about let's cut our expenses by 10%, but I don't think I would use your 2022 numbers for that. I would maybe take an average of your business, because if 2022 was this crazy random high year for you, this year might look different. So let's look at your average and cut your expenses 10% from there. And I know that can be such a like womp womp conversation, but you guys, there are so many things you can do that are free, and you don't have to. For example, my coach has actually like a pretty well-known podcast, and we had a podcast conversation going, and she said, Jill, like, Linda and I Zoom with each other. And then she pays somebody a very minimal amount just to get it on Spotify and podcast. And a Zoom is free. You don't need a $1,500 microphone and a soundproof room and whatever. She has a very well-known podcast, and they do it via Zoom. So what are things you can do that are free? And are you taking full advantage of all the tools you're already offered? And then mindset and emotional resilience, super, super important. At a later date, there was an agent who spoke, Dan Grebe is his name. He's a Keller Williams agent in the Orlando area. And he's had quite a life-changing story. He's done 3 Ironmans. He actually ended up, because he wants to serve others and gets fulfillment out of serving others, which was a common theme. He wanted to extend his like Ironman gratification, like training for it, getting through it. And he wanted to get somebody across the finish line with special needs. And they did like a tandem course. And he's a really, really cool story. But we're going to need that positive mindset and emotional resilience just as we're going into a shifting time. Like, again, mindset's everything. And I don't know. I also would say just being open, open and adaptable is going to help. So I think our next one is, oh no. Okay. So let me do the schedule, and then I've got a short little video for you guys. So I would take a screenshot. I would write this down, and I'm going to tell you how we can shift it to better work your business. This is a daily schedule to close 100 deals per year. 6 a.m., wake up and start your day. 7:30 is a role play and accountability call. Is anybody doing a role play or accountability call now at a high level?
I did today.
Awesome, Danny. Did you do role play or just kind of accountability, say what your day is going to be?
No, it was role play and a little bit of accountability. I did it with like the Elevate team.
Okay.
Yeah, I did theirs on Zoom.
That's awesome. Was that with Rich Gannum?
Yes, but I don't think he came on today because he was sick and he
Okay.
couldn't make it. I think he also kind of forgot about it, but that's okay. We'll just forget that part. We went on without him anyways, and we still had like a good meeting, and yeah, I liked it. I definitely will be doing it again next week. So
it is that you guys, we want to practice on each other, and it feels awkward to do it, but it's super, super important.
I have done one. It's at 8:30. No, it's at 8:20. It's a national one though with Chris Hurley.
Okay.
His is from 8:30 to 9. 8:20 to 9 is right after the James Shaw call. It's via Zoom, so it's with agents all over, and then they break you out into smaller groups where you can have practice with those people.
Oh, so I like that part about it, because I was going to ask Janice, do you just listen to people role play, but you break out in smaller groups?
You do, like whatever the objection is for the day, like he goes over one and he goes through and does the role play with someone, and then he breaks everybody out into groups, and then you practice that scenario with the smaller group.
I love that. That's so, so great. I would jot this down too. If you're not affiliated with an accountability group, this could be ask people at our office. This could be ask somebody in a different state, whatever. I'm sure, like, I know a lot of us are on James Shaw, or Glover U, or put out a message in one of those groups and say, hey, looking for an accountability partner who can help. And I didn't know what was on an accountability call. I've done that, I guess, in coaching, but not necessarily just candidly with another agent who's holding me accountable. And he said, what that looks like is you're going to go over contacts made. So how many contacts I made yesterday, how many I'm going to do today. Appointment set, how many appointments did I set yesterday? How many appointments did I go on yesterday? How many contracts were signed? And how many people did I add to my database? Good rule of thumb is whether it's Bold, whether it's Glover U, whether it's James Shaw or whoever, typically people say if you can add 5 to your database every day, that's huge. And side note, if, in the KW world, Command has enough data now to show if you have over 201 contacts in Command, 201 or more, I think we've talked about this at the meeting. Those agents are averaging over, I think it's like 132,000 GCI. So over 200 contacts in Command. That's with name, email, phone number, and address. But adding, how many people did you add to database? And then he said he didn't have this in his accountability call now, but he said by the Traverse City retreat, it'll be something we're reviewing, is what social media posts did you do that day? So we have, if you didn't write it down, contacts made, appointments set, appointments gone on, contracts signed, how many you added to database, and social media. Then 8 o'clock, we have first prospecting session, which is calling, texting strangers. So this could be expireds, this could be FSBOs, this could be, maybe you're a part of maybe you get online leads, or maybe it's people you don't know. Second prospecting session is email or direct message or private message, whether it's Facebook or Instagram. So something I wanted to tell you guys is when they say, oh, you should be prospecting 3 hours a day or lead generating 3 hours a day. I don't know who else is a high I on this call, but I look at that like all I picture is myself staring at my computer on a phone, continuously calling, and it intimidates me. And I don't know, it's hard for me. I love, and you're going to see there's a third one here. I love how he breaks this up, and how I would compare it to is if you're going to the gym, some people can go to the gym, hop on a treadmill and run for 2 hours. I am such a squirrel person. I need to do this machine for 15 minutes, this one for 10, this one for 20, and it just makes the time go really fast. So if you see this, it's not just phone calls. Texts do work, email does work, private messaging works. So first hour is based on calling and texting, preferably strangers, because we are prospecting, looking for new business. Second hour is going to be email or private messaging. And then give yourself a 15-minute mindset break. 10:15 will be the last prospecting session, just for 45 minutes. And this is going to be prospecting your database. So going back through wherever you house all your clients, your CRM, Boomtown, Command, a Google Sheet, whatever, you are going to be calling your database and how adding value. He also said a great call for this is that I have a goal. If you've done Bold, I know this is a script in Bold. I also have saved this script. I had it emailed to me while I was there, so I could send that out with a follow-up with the recording, what the I have a goal script is. But hey, I see Danielle, so I'm going to use her, but hey, Danielle, this is Jill. How are you doing? How's the house? Awesome. Hey, I have a goal that I'm going to make X amount of contacts today. Can you help me reach that? Do you know anybody who may be looking to buy or sell? That's not exactly what it is, but it's along those lines. So then 11 to 11:45, we have our lead follow-up. This is, and I don't know if you've seen here, he's not responding to any emails yet. And this is outgoing email. This is not responding to an email. This is not responding to a co-broke. There is nothing that can't wait until 12 o'clock. So 11, we're going to spend 45 minutes on lead follow-up. 11:45 is acknowledgements. So this is when you have the time, if a co-broke texted you, called you, left you a voicemail, somebody sent you an email, you are going to simply respond with received. I'll be in touch after lunch. Whether it's a text, whether it's a voicemail, an email, let them know that you see that they reached out, because that communication is important, and let them know when you'll be following back up. 12 to 2 o'clock, he said lunch, work out, go back home and see your family, whatever it may be, that 2 hours could be focused on you. 2 to 4:30 is, some of you might have somebody who does your admin for you. Maybe you do all your admin, but this is your time that you can kind of be creative, your admin time, your follow-up time, or this could be closings, callbacks, walkthroughs, etc. Those types of appointments. 4:30 to 5, content research and creation. So again, we have a social media theme here, and researching, like, or maybe you're creating a reel in this time, or planning what your social media calendar is going to look like. That's in that half hour. 5 to 6, posting and engaging on social media. So you guys, engaging on social media is a great, great way to be following up with your database. You know, I would make a plan to, isn't there, correct me if I'm wrong, some of you on the call might know this. I think there's like a 5-5-5. You want to do 5 likes, 5 messages, 5 happy birthdays.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's 5 likes, 5 comments,
5 private messages.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes. So that is where I would take the time to get that in. 6 o'clock, listing or a buyer appointment. Now, I will tell you candidly, just as a receiver of this information, I know that Jeff is a listing agent. So he goes on 1 listing appointment today. I realize if you're working with buyers, that might look like a buyer appointment here, a buyer appointment here. And then 7 o'clock, you're home. Now, the first thing I thought of is, no way people are going to work these 11-hour days, even though we kind of, you know, we're on from the moment we wake up, from the moment we go to bed. But you can work this however you need to. So this 2 hours for lunch and workout, maybe you move all this up and you eat lunch while you're driving, or there's things you can do. But the important things I would do is keep at least 2 prospecting sessions in there, keep your time for appointments, and keep your role play accountability and social media. Like, those are huge. So if it's not exactly this, find what's yours and plan accordingly. He did say, maybe there's a lot of you here who say, I don't want to close 100 deals a year. I am a mom and my kids come first. And if I do 50, if I do 30, that is what I want to do. And he said, if you're at the 50 per year goal, your appointments, where this is based on 5 appointments per week, so that's 1 appointment every single day. Your goal is going to be 2 to 3 appointments a week. And he also said to move, if you're not looking to close 100 deals, he said, move the 4:30 to 5:30 tasks to the 9 to 10 hour. And that would be only 2 prospecting sessions at that point then. Any questions? Yes, Danielle.
So comments.
Mhm.
Again, I obviously I'm about to start Bold, and I've been listening to a lot of Hudson Warren, so I have like all of his stuff.
Bring
But
it to me.
something that he said, and I loved, because I'm always feeling like I'm doing something, and then I get a text message, and then I go to the text message, but then I get an email, and then I go back and I'm like, I never finished any of that.
Yes.
He said, turn off all of your notifications. There's nothing so important in real estate that you need to do it like right that second. And when you are doing your scheduling and you're doing your whole day, focus on what you're doing at that time. And if you get a text message or something else, you don't even look at it until you finish like doing your prospecting. Because if that deal falls apart and you didn't do your prospecting, then you're not gonna have anything.
Exactly. That is so true. And you know, is it James Shaw, I think says like emails, or maybe a lot of people say this, emails are other people's priorities, not
Yes.
yours.
Yes.
And think about it, you guys, like responding to that quickly is taking you away from your game. So I think that's huge. I have heard of people turning off, like they don't have, like you said, don't have the notifications of email, but even make it harder to open up. Like don't have it as a bookmark on your web browser. Don't, literally only open it up in this allotted time. I think that's huge. Thank you for sharing.
Mhm.
No, I like this schedule though. I do
Isn't
like
it good? I
schedule.
thought it was really good.
I would need to tweak some stuff because I am on James' call in the morning. Sorry.
But Janice, like that is, kind of like your role play and accountability. If James Shaw isn't accountability, I don't know what is. So
Right.
mhm.
Yeah.
I
So
think it's really good.
I would have to tweak that. But what I also like is outside of as a subset to the James Shaw call, like a lot of people have started these lead gen Zoom calls. So it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that framework, but not specific as to what you're doing while you're doing the lead gen.
Mhm.
But there is one that has breaking down, like in the morning they do from 9:15 to 11, they do the calls or whatever, but then they do the texting at 4:30 in the afternoon. And why they broke that up like that, I'm not sure, but they do get results by texting in the afternoon. I don't know if there's some data that supports that or not, but
They said, and I probably won't be able to, I'm sure, find it handy, but he said that like knowing, don't quote me. Oh, it's right here. Knowing that like, we have our target list, but knowing what time people most likely answer. And he said that is and that is answer on the phone, that's respond to a text, that's respond on social. That time is from 9 to 10 and 4 to 5.
oh,
So, yeah, I thought that was interesting too.
Mike Zinicola, he
Mhm.
suggested too that he kind of likes to split the day up, like instead of doing the exact same thing every day, Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, you do a schedule like this, and then like Tuesday, Thursdays, you switch it up and do like most of your prospecting like later in the day to see too, but it's like kind of the same thing, like you said, with the time.
Yeah, I think that's great. And again, if you're like me, changing it up like that kind of can help keep you focused.
Yeah.
Gary Keller always says success is simple, not easy. It's the doing the habits, it's boring, it's monotonous. So changing up that schedule, maybe having a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and a Tuesday, Thursday, tweaking a few things around can help trick your brain into thinking it's new and different. Okay, so this video I just thought was so super cool. Let's move that up here. So as we know, this is the most popular websites since 1993. And you're going to hear, they don't talk, but I want you guys to pay attention to January of 1993, what websites were popular, and just see where it goes. Seeing how Amazon moved was crazy to me. So yes, I'm going to play this. So that just like blew my mind. I don't know if it'll let me show. So you started to see during like it amazed me. This is January 2022, so it is a year behind. I would venture to guess that YouTube's probably a little further out now. But I mean, look at for so long, Yahoo was number one. Yahoo and Google kind of teetered. And I mean, the difference between Yahoo and Google now, seeing how social media grew. And I don't know if you guys paid attention, you could tell when COVID hit. And I think it was then like Amazon started to go down, the socials grew. So I don't know, it's pretty interesting. Any thoughts on this?
I will tell you now, I took a class maybe a couple weeks ago. And right now, TikTok is the number one search engine ahead of Google.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
They said
That's
that.
so bizarre.
It is unreal. So you
And
guys,
YouTube is probably right behind that because I know my son is 11. He hasn't watched a TV in I don't even know how many years. All he does is watch YouTube videos, which I think is so dumb.
You know what? I have to say, so I said something to Owen the other day because I agree. He's the same way. I'm like, all you ever do is watch YouTube and stuff. And he's like doing research for his gaming or whatever. And he's like, what's the difference? Dad always does. And I'm like, oh my God, he does. Dave constantly, he's looking up how to like use the flat top grill or where we want to go on vacation and like what are we going to do when we go on vacation. It's all YouTube videos,
All
all
YouTube.
TV
And
all the
so-
time.
And my son would come and say, did you hear about such and such? And I was like, how do you know about that? Something that happened like in the world and it's on the news or something. I'm like, how do you know? So I'm on YouTube. I was like, YouTube has news? Like, I don't even work. Like, I don't watch it. So I don't know. But yeah, so.
That's funny.
They
Yeah,
said
that's funny.
that-
Go ahead. Oh, sorry.
It's okay, Danny. I was
Um,
just saying, they said that video is going to be what's going to take over in the next couple of years. So we need to move into like the video space.
Yeah, that's really originally, like, it's funny that you bring up TikTok because when I first got my license, like, so like actually a month ago today, I got my license, and I like went through all the onboarding process with KW, and they were asking me what I want my email to be and all that other stuff. And I wanted something catchy so that if I were to ever like get on TikTok and become famous, everyone's like, oh, that's Daniel the house seller, So I'm trying to like think outside of the box and brand my own business that way. So that because like everyone knows Glenda Baker, she's from Atlanta, Georgia, and she's famous for her videos that she has on TikTok and other platforms. And just like things like that, like Daniel the house seller. I just thought it sounded catchy, and it's a good branding tool. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Danny, since you brought up TikTok, we only have like a few minutes left. So I want to go over this real quick. Something I found interesting is they said to use TikTok as the platform to create your video and then share it to other platforms. So YouTube being a non-negotiable, but maybe creating videos inside of TikTok and then obviously sharing to your YouTube. This blew my mind. So Mr. Beast, I think, is the number one YouTuber. And if you have I think a lot of us have, 10, 11, 12-year-old boys on this call. And, if you don't know who Mr. Beast is, I mean, who doesn't? So he said ad companies pay more to advertise on Mr. Beast's YouTube channel than the Super Bowl. And I spelled Super Bowl wrong. But it gets that's how many people are watching. Like that was like Mr. Beast is worth $20 billion now, and he's 23 years old.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is.
I wonder how he got all that wealth though, but
I know, I'm curious too, but yes. So being aware, I think I liked this just because it shows kind of some helpful hints for each platform. Facebook, essentially, Facebook, the users are a little older, and Instagram, you have younger users on there. Facebook, they said 59% of the users are between 25 and 54. And that's who we're targeting typically as home buyers and sellers. And 75% of social media users with an income of more than 75,000 are on Facebook. So this is interesting to me. Maybe you're trying to tap into the luxury market or a higher price point. Maybe you want to spend a little more time on Facebook because your Facebook clients might be a little older. They might be a little more established. We went over TikTok and Instagram. 58% of users have become more interested in a brand product after seeing it in stories. So that's along with all of these, like, I think especially Instagram and Facebook, we want to talk about, it's not even just your post. I would be sure you have, and this is a challenge, I don't do this, but have 5 stories a day. Like, you want to be able to constantly have stories up and people to click through, because guess what? When you have stories, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I meant to text Janice that so-and-so is looking to buy a house, or it's a reminder of who you are. I don't even care what the content is in your story, whether it's real estate related, personal related, funny, whatever. Just have it be you, be yourself. But that's why stories are so important, because I think you get more one-on-one engagement.
it's so funny that you say that. And to add on to that real quick, I don't know if anyone else is familiar with crumble cookies, but like I love crumble cookies. And every time you go on Instagram or any social media of theirs, they always have a story and they always post the flavors of that week every single day so that you like don't miss it. And I feel like that's such a great business strategy.
Absolutely. Always so I'm sure you guys have heard of MOFR, but that stands for make offer for immediate response. And what Crumble does so good is honestly, like I'm even trying to diet right now and eat healthier. And I'm like, "Oh, what's the crumble cookie flavor?" Like it gives you a call to action. You're excited. They only have them for a week, and it certainly gets people engaged.
Oh, yes, for sure. I'm the exact same way.
Yes.
I think
So yeah,
beauty of
go ahead.
no, the beauty of starting your video on TikTok though is because TikTok doesn't have licensing issues where you can't play music. That's why people love TikTok so much.
Oh,
Like on
that's great.
Facebook, if you play a song and you don't own it, like you can get put in Facebook jail or they'll shut down your whole video or whatever. But in TikTok, you can play whatever music you want. It's no rules around that right now. So you can do your and the beauty of what they say, start your video on TikTok and then you can share it to other platforms because you but it's harder to do the reverse. Like you can't really, it's harder to start a video in Facebook and share it to other platforms, but TikTok makes it where you can download and share to other places.
Yes. Okay.
You'll
That's
want
good.
to share it to multiple.
That's really good to know.
Yeah.
I've always, it's because I'm not savvy here. I've noticed that like Facebook, you will have to, I've gotten in trouble one time. They like deleted my post for me because I didn't own the rights to the music or yada, yada.
Me before too.
Yes.
I don't
So-
want to have to type, I do not own the rights to this music every time you do a post. So if you just start it somewhere else,
Mhm.
different.
Exactly. That's great. So it says building your social profile is the most important thing you can do. I'd really encourage you guys to focus on this in the coming year. And a few little rules he has is, obviously, because video is important, these first couple are around video. Use a hook and keep it to one sentence. So the goal is to get people to stop the scroll or, like catch them for more than a second. So keep it quick, keep it to one sentence. And you want to use one of 6 trigger words. The trigger words he used are you, feel, because, instant, new, and offer. So I would definitely write those down. And I think those just must be like, to me, those are call to action words, gets people excited or maybe gives them FOMO or, ooh, I want to hear what they say. Use alarming language, like you have to act now. Stay away from politics and religion. You guys, a funny story. I was doing FSO, which if you don't know what that is, it's Franchise Systems Orientation for Keller Williams not too long ago. And they were going through like what their favorite, we have a paper that's like 100 culture points essentially of Keller Williams. It might be less than 100, I don't know, but it was Jay Papasan and Jen Lewis. And he was like, Jen, what are your 2 favorites? And she said, there's one, we keep our social media engagement neutral, essentially, because you don't want to upset anybody. And I usually try and do, but that day I had posted my son's note to Santa that I thought was so funny. And it said, please bring me a Snoop on the stoop. Well, then somebody posted what the Snoop on a stoop, like the link on Amazon. Then he's got a big, it's probably not a cigarette, doobie, whatever out of his mouth. And I was like, okay, see, like I better take that down because you don't know. I will tell you guys, like you want to be you without a doubt. So don't ever change who you are, but just being aware, like, is this something that could offend a future buyer or seller I have? Because I promise you, they're probably going to search you on social media. Do not overuse emojis. And he said reason being, and it's funny, this is why it is important to keep going to these things, because a year and a half ago in Traverse City, he said, use emojis because the picture, like your brain reacts to a picture quicker than it does words. Well, now they are saying on social media, overusing emojis, you lose credibility. And then facts tell, but stories sell. And they actually brought up, and this is okay, I do it too. But I forget who's even presenting this, but he said, everyone always does either the sold sign or I did 10 million this year, or I did XYZ. And he said, that is about you. It's not about your client. And 90% of the people who read it don't even know what you closing 10 million in volume means. Or sometimes people might be like, oh, and they get 7% of that. And even though that's not how it works, but keep it to stories, keep it to how you helped somebody, how their life changed, what happened in the transaction, why you're so excited for them. And again, like, I think this has come up a few times now, but it's serving others, making it about others will help yourself, like put into them to get what you need. So pour into others, share stories, try not to make it about yourself. Any parting words on social media, questions, ahas? And I can actually stop the share and look here. Okay, perfect. I know Michaeline Google in 2014, there was a few things that, I can send anybody that video if they want it. There's a few that really surprised me. But any other questions or ahas before we close out?
All good things.
I think this was good.
Good.